Yeah. And then I told her, that's not a chicken, that's a duck! I really need to get friends that aren't inanimate objects. Whoa! Wilson, that was the second wall of her house you have broken. Really, let's see here. Click on here, click on your channel, click on analytics, and holy crap, 104 views, Wilson! The maximum we got before was 9. Huh, wow, maybe this analyzing thing really will work then, won't it? Man, right when I was enjoying a good laugh with my pals back there. You know, Wilson, I don't know why I'm friends with you sometimes, but alright, I'll go do it. I can't enjoy a good joke or something. So, you want Buzzbombers then, do you? Well, I'll give you Buzzbombers, alright. Welcome to the second video of analyzing every single Eggman machine. And today we're analyzing every Buzzbomber. Well, what are the Buzzbombers? Buzzbombers are very simple to explain, actually. Basically, they're only made for combat, while the Motobug are not the pawns. I'd say that Buzzbombers are actually the main soldiers in the Eggman army. Now, one very important thing we must mention about the Buzzbombers is that they could either be scouts or foot soldiers. Kind of lack of a better word there, but still, they are the pawns of the Eggman army. But let's not go too ahead on their purpose, let's actually look a little bit on their base design. So Buzzbombers are very simple. They're just kind of like this wasp bug that is mechanized, of course, having 2 wings and 2 rockets, and those are the things that makes it move forward at such high speeds. We can actually see at the very first time we see it, look how fast it goes. Sonic simply can't outrun it very easily, if at all really. But another very important detail about the Buzzbombers are its cannon, located at the very bottom part of its body. It seems to shoot energy bullets, but I'm not quite entirely sure if it's purely energy bullets. However, at least from the looks of several games, it does look like that. And really, throughout the generations of the Buzzbomber, it essentially always looked the same, with really the only outlier being Sonic's pinball looking more like a buzzer than a Buzzbomber. But really, this is the entirety of the Buzzbomber. There's really not anything else to talk about it. It's really only made for combat. But they could also be made just to protect those service machines, such as the Motobug. Look at the very first time we see it. We see first the Motobug removing the plants from the ground, and then right after it, we see the Buzzbomber, who is supposedly protecting the Motobug, even though it seems like it didn't do a good job. Yikes! Eggman's not gonna like that.
No way! I can't believe this!
But again, the Buzzbomber is not the only variation. The very next one we see is the Buzzer from Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And the Buzzer, we can look at it already and say, why was this thing created? The Buzzer is essentially the same thing as the Buzzbomber, with the only difference really being that it lacks wings, or in some cases, it just lacks the rockets too, and just has this copter thing on top of it. But what was the Buzzer made for? Well, the same thing really. It just has a sleeker design, and strangely enough, it's actually slower. It probably is slower from the lack of wings, and it probably takes a slower pace just so that it doesn't lose control in the air and ends up crashing and falling. But then there's a question, why create the Buzzer if we have the Buzzbomber? But there is another version of the Buzzer, which can also be known as the Stinger, as I'll call it, just for different purposes, which can be found in Sonic Advance. And there it is. It's essentially the same thing, but it doesn't have the rockets, and it has that copter found on its top side. Alright, next one is also called Buzzbomber, but we're gonna call it the Chaos Bomber since it's found in Sonic Chaos. And the Chaos Bomber. Eggman, why was this thing created? I mean, look at the Chaos Bomber. It essentially lacks every single part that makes a Buzzbomber a Buzzbomber. It still has that speed, but it doesn't have the rocket and it doesn't have the cannon. Eggman, what are you doing?
Oh no! My power is going down!
That was the whole purpose of the Buzzbombers being created, and to remove that, this is not a Buzzbomber anymore. The only reason I'm adding this in is because its name is the Buzzbomber, and I would get people talking about me like, why did you not put this in? Or something like that, right? But again, I'm not sure why this was created. Now, remember how I said in the very first Buzzbomber variation how they could have been made for being scouts or something like that? Well, the Chaos Bomber could have very well been for this reason. Though it doesn't make too much sense since on Sonic Chaos we do have the Bane Motoras also. So, very strange creation from Eggman. I hope you have something to say for yourself, young man.
Are you trying to spoil my plans again?
Alright, now go to your room and think about your actions.
Don't think you've won yet.
Now, welcome in the Pobies. Now, the Pobies are closer to the Buzzbomber, and in a good way this time. So the Pobies, we can see that they take more of a bee design, different from the Buzzbomber and Buzzer, looking more like wasps. But this one has a very big difference, and that is its purpose. Let's look at its design first. So we can see that it looks very much like a Buzzbomber, but a bee this time, having kind of a bulkier build and only having 2 wings, it seems like, instead of 4 that we can see on the other designs. It also has these 2 little holes on its side. I'm not entirely sure what they could be made for. However, they could be made for aerodynamics purpose, such as maybe air vents so that it can switch its position in some way, or even rockets, who knows. It's not exactly seeable in the games or anywhere else from what I looked at. But again, just like a Buzzbomber, it can shoot down an energy bullet. But different from the Buzzbomber, the Pobee can actually exchange its gun for a chain and ball. Now, it's weird why the Pobee would want that, because it essentially downgrades it from the Buzzbomber. But if we look at its defense mechanisms, well, it makes perfect sense. Look at where we find it. We find it at Wacky Workbench and Metallic Madness, 2 places that have already been colonized and doesn't really need combat power to be able to go and fight, because it was already fought over. So, take in the Pobee. It can either shoot down or it can have these ball and chains to catch off people that are not expecting it. Namely, Sonic. Being really fast, he's probably not going to be able to react to that ball and chain very quickly, so Pobee, yeah! It also kind of explains why the Pobee has kind of a bulkier design, probably so that it can handle that ball and chain, but also withstand some attacks or debris that can be found in Wacky Workbench especially. Wow, why does this launch me up? Wow, this video is getting really short actually compared to the Motobugs. Maybe this is not gonna be that hard now, will it? Why did I have to open my big fat mouth? This is the Egg Flyer. Now you may be thinking, Juvenile, this is not a Buzzbomber. And well, you're completely right. However, it still fits in with every single Buzzbomber creation philosophy. That is, flying and shooting. And namely rockets. We can see on the Egg Flyer, it has these 2 rockets that are capable of hovering it in the air or making it fly forward, depending on which way it's pointed at. Another thing about it is its gun found in its bottom part. Instead of shooting energy bullets, it actually seems to shoot metal bullets instead, and that's why it has kind of a bulkier and bigger design than the Buzzbomber. Now, why exchange from energy bullets? I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it has piercing rounds or something like that, but who knows? However, let's open this box of curiosity for maybe some of you. Why does Eggman have this? Because this looks very familiar to some of you, and I'll tell you why. Because this is the same thing as those gun robots that we see. Like, look at it. It's almost the same thing, instead that the egg flyers are a little bit bigger. And why does Eggman have this design? Well, I came up with 2 reasons why he may have it. The first one may have been that Gerald Robotnik was actually the one who created the designs, and Eggman simply found them, since it's kind of his heritage now. Just found them and made them and gave them found the designs and recreated them to give them his own design philosophies, namely very big, strong rockets. However, the other reason, and in my opinion a little bit more believable, is that Eggman just stole the designs, because why not? We see that Eggman has stolen several designs before, namely the Gizoids. Look at G-Merle. G-Merle is not a Eggman creation, he just built upon E-Merle. So it makes perfect sense why Eggman would have the designs, especially if he stole it, because he went on government places in the first place. Wow, that was a very weird sentence, but you get it, right? I hope. Alright, so the last one was a bit out there, so let's go with one that looks a little bit more like a Buzzbomber, which are the Egg Searcher and the Egg Hunter. Let's begin with the Egg Hunter. So the Egg Hunter has kind of like this hunched back design, looking more like a bird than anything else. But what does it do? Well, first things first, it doesn't have rockets this time, and instead it has this hovering technology on it that we're gonna see on other Buzzbomber designs in the future. And besides that, it doesn't really have anything interesting about it, besides its method of attack. Instead of shooting bullets, it actually has these orbs that it controls around it, and it creates lasers that shoot down and protect it. Now, why use it like this? Especially if you have the bad nick being called the Egg Hunter. Really, it makes absolutely no sense why this thing is called the Egg Hunter, because it shouldn't do this. Unless the names were inverted or something like that, I'm not entirely sure. But there we go, that's the Egg Hunter. But I have another one that I mentioned before, the Egg Searcher. The Egg Searcher is essentially the same thing as the Egg Hunter, but looking even more like a Buzzbomber. It still has that same hovering technology, and it doesn't shoot bullets exactly. But what it does is that the orbs around it, which he has last now, can also shoot bullets. That's why it looks more like an oval design rather than an actual orb, different from the Egg Hunter. Because the Egg Searcher needs also to have the ammunition for the bullets, and it also probably doesn't have enough memory so that it can switch between shooting and laser. And really, the Egg Searcher this time, it makes sense for the name, because that's what it does. It searches around for maybe things that shouldn't be there. But the Egg Hunter? Come on, Eggman, why did you name this thing that? It doesn't make sense. But do remember the Egg Hunter and the Egg Searcher, because they are gonna come back in the video later. But besides them, let's talk about the Aero Cannon. Now, I have to come in clean here. I wasn't able to get any footage, any clean footage of the Aero Cannon. It may be here on Sonic Generations, but I'm not sure if they act differently in Sonic Unleashed, where it's where they were first found. But what are the Aero Cannons? Well, the Aero Cannons are possibly one of the smartest designs that Eggman has ever done. It comes back to that hovering technology and the energy bullets this time, at least I believe. Again, I couldn't get enough footage. However, we are able to see on the concept art of the Aero Cannon exactly how it works on the eyes of Eggman. So let's take a look at it. So we can see that the top part of the cannon is separate from the orb part that has the hovering technology. Probably what has the hovering technology is that kind of 2 triangle parts on the sides, and maybe the feet also, but we see that the feet also are only used for landing, probably so it doesn't break or anything like that when it's trying to do a safe landing. Next part is how it aims. Because of that orb design, the arrow cannon can move its top part however it wants, and there we go. We can see already on the concept art how it's capable of moving. It doesn't have a full 360 range, however, it's way better than any other Buzzbomber we have seen so far. The arrow cannon is such an intricate design because we can see how many things it's capable of doing. Now, sadly, I wasn't able to get a translation for most of these things, so if there's anyone who would like to translate it, or if I said something wrong because the translation says so, please let me know, because I'm honestly curious. But there we go, that's the arrow cannon. Couldn't get much footage, but it's pretty self-explanatory. It flies and shoots. It's a Buzzbomber, alright. And now, the very last Buzzbomber variation, the Sentry Bug. And well, it's a Buzzbomber, right? We have bug, we have flying, we have wait a second, that looks different. So, the Sentry Bug is kind of an unholy combination of the Stinger and the Egg Hunter and the Egg Sentry. But, well, because of Sonic lore reasons, the Sentry Bug came before those three actually, so pretty cool to see how Sonic Mania handles some things. But what does the Sentry Bug do? Well, the Sentry Bug still creates those lasers around it, but creating more of a calculated attack rather than just shooting the lasers directly, so that it can ensure a sure hit. And its design can actually go well with its purpose, which is defense. So let's talk a little bit about their design. So their design, we can see that it has still those kind of copters on its sides, however much bigger, probably so it can lift its body, so we can assume that it's a very heavy robot, but also it has that very big bottom part, and that's where the orbs are stored, and that's where they are also controlled. So it needs a very big body so that it can control things compared to the Egg Hunter and the Egg Searcher. So we can see already how Eggman's technology has been improving over the years, at least in Sonic world. But what is the purpose of the Sentry Bug? Just like the Poby, it's purely made for defense. We find the Sentry Bug in Titanic Monarch, so we really don't need anyone attacking on the Titanic Monarch, but we do need people defending, especially if Sonic is coming in close. But there we go, that's every single Buzzbomber analyzed, and this seemed to form into a much smaller video than the Motobugs. Well, not too small really, but there we go. I recorded this video before the release of Sonic Superstars, so if there's another Buzzbomber that released in there, I might do a YouTube short or kind of a second part of this video just to analyze it, depending on how special it is. But there we go, that's every single Buzzbomber, and thank you very much for watching this far and up to the end, and thank you again for the video I released before about the Motobug. I've never seen such big reception on a video before like that, so I'm very happy to see that people enjoyed it, so I'm gonna continue making it. Well, I guess that is everything, so goodbye.